I want you to picture this. You're 35,000 feet in the air. You've been sitting in a middle seat for 2 hours. Your legs are numb. Your neck hurts. The person next to you keeps using your armrest. And then the flight attendant rolls the cart down the aisle. Chicken or pasta, they ask. You pick chicken because, well, you're hungry. They hand you a tray. You peel back the plastic. And the moment the smell hits you, you know. You know this is going to taste like sadness wrapped in aluminum foil. You eat it anyway, because you're trapped in a metal tube at 500 miles per hour. And what else are you going to do? But here's the surprising truth. It's not that the food is actually bad. It's not that the airline hired terrible chefs. It's that your entire body is betraying you at 35,000 feet. Today, we're uncovering why airplane food tastes like cardboard, how your senses literally change in the air, and why the airline industry knows this and does almost nothing about it. To understand why airplane food is so terrible, we first have to look at what flying actually does to your body. For most of human history, we never flew. We walked, we rode horses, we sailed ships. Our bodies evolved over millions of years to taste, smell, and eat at sea level, where the air is thick and normal. Then, about 80 years ago, we invented pressurized cabins and started flying. And suddenly, we took our taste buds somewhere they were never designed to go. The problem is simple. Up there, you're not at sea level anymore. You're in a metal tube where the air is artificial. It's been pumped in. It's been filtered. It's been recycled. And most importantly, it's dry. Painfully dry. That dryness doesn't just make your lips crack and your eyes feel like sandpaper. It changes how you taste everything. And the airlines, they know this. They've known this for decades. But solving it would cost money. So instead, they just serve you food and hope you don't notice. Spoiler alert, you notice. Let's break down exactly what happens to your senses when you step onto an airplane. Here's where it starts. On the ground, the air around you is typically 30% to 65% humidity. That's normal. That's what your body expects. Your nose, your mouth, your throat, they're all adapted to this. In an airplane cabin, the humidity drops to about 10% to 15%. That's desert levels of dry. To give you perspective, the Sahara Desert is around 25% humidity. You're breathing air drier than a desert for hours. Now, here's the thing about taste. Most people think taste happens on your tongue, that your taste buds detect flavor and boom, you taste something. But that's only part of the story. Think of taste like a 3-part harmony. You've got your tongue, your taste buds, but you also have your nose. And your nose is actually responsible for about 80% of what you perceive as flavor. It's called retronasal olfaction. Basically, when you swallow, aromatic compounds from the food travel up to your nasal cavity, and your brain interprets that as taste. Without that smell component, food is basically just texture and sweetness. It's boring. It's bland. Now, in that dry cabin air, what happens to your nose? It shuts down. The mucous membranes in your nasal cavity dry out. Your olfactory receptors, the cells that detect smell, are coated in mucus. When that mucus dries out, those receptors can't work properly. You literally lose your sense of smell. No smell, no flavor, no deliciousness. The chicken isn't actually worse than it was on the ground. Your ability to taste it is just gone. But wait, there's more. It's not just the humidity. It's also the pressure. When you're at sea level, you're under 1 atmosphere of pressure. It's pressing down on you from all sides. You don't notice because you've always been under it. But in an airplane cabin, the pressure is lowered. The cabin is pressurized to simulate being at about 6,000 to 8,000 feet elevation. Not the full 35,000 foot elevation, but lower than sea level. Why? Because if they kept it at full atmospheric pressure, the cabin walls would explode. The pressure difference would be too much. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to keep a balloon inflated while someone's pushing down on it from the outside. You can either use a thick balloon, which is heavy and expensive, or lower the pressure inside the balloon, which works but feels weird. Airlines choose option 2. So your body is under lower pressure. What does that do? Your blood vessels constrict slightly, your sinuses swell, and, this is important, the air in your nasal cavity expands. This expansion actually makes your sense of smell even worse than the dryness alone would. Your nasal passages are already irritated and dry, and now the pressure change is adding insult to injury. It's like trying to smell something while you've got a bad cold. You just can't. Here's the money question. If airlines know this, Why don't they fix it? Well, they could. They could increase cabin humidity. Modern aircraft have humidification systems. But adding more moisture to the cabin air uses extra power. Extra power means extra fuel. Extra fuel means extra cost. We're talking millions of dollars per airline, per year. And for what? So the chicken tastes marginally less like sadness? So instead, airlines have done something different. They've adapted the food. If they know passengers can't taste much at 35,000 feet, they just make the food more intense. More salt, more seasoning, more MSG. Yes, really, it's FDA approved and actually helps with taste perception. It's a brilliant, cynical workaround. Ground the same meal and serve it to someone at sea level, and they'd say it's way too salty, too intense, borderline inedible. But at 35,000 feet, it tastes normal. The airlines are essentially seasoning for your dysfunction. They're not trying to make you happy. They're trying to make the food adequate enough that you don't complain. And it works because you don't realize that your taste buds are the problem. You just think the food is bad. Okay, so if regular food tastes terrible, what tastes good on a plane? Here's the weird part. Sweet things, salty things, spicy things, bitter things, especially coffee and alcohol, taste normal or even better. Why? Because those taste categories don't rely as heavily on smell. They're detected directly by your taste buds on your tongue. Sugar is sugar. Salt is salt. Capsaicin, the heat in spicy food, is capsaicin. That's why airplane food is always heavily flavored. And that's why your beer or wine tastes pretty good, even though your sense of smell is basically offline. Alcohol has flavor compounds that bypass your nose and hit your taste buds directly. It's also why tomato juice, something most people don't drink on the ground, tastes amazing on a plane. The acidity, the umami, the saltiness, it all works without needing smell. Airlines have actually studied this. They know what flavors work at altitude, and yet they still serve you chicken that tastes like an old sponge, because the default meals aren't optimized for taste. They're optimized for cost and shelf stability. But there's one more factor that makes airplane food taste worse. It's not just your senses, it's your brain. When you fly, your body is under stress. You're in an unfamiliar environment. You're worried about the flight, even if you don't admit it. You're cramped, you're uncomfortable, your circadian rhythm is confused. All of that stress, it changes how you taste things. Stress triggers your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. Your digestion shuts down. Your taste perception gets suppressed. Your brain is telling you, we're in danger. We don't have time for flavor. It's the opposite of the relaxed, parasympathetic state you're in when you're sitting in your favorite restaurant with a nice meal. In that state, your digestive system is awake and alert. You're tasting everything. On a plane, your body thinks you're being hunted, so it doesn't care if the food is delicious. It just cares if it's calories. Plus, and this is kind of funny, you're also probably dehydrated. The dry air makes you thirsty even though you're drinking water. And dehydration literally makes food taste worse. Your saliva isn't flowing properly. Your taste buds aren't being stimulated. So you've got dryness, pressure changes, lack of smell, stress response, dehydration, all working together to make that chicken taste like a defeated sigh. So here's what changes when you understand this. Next time you're on a plane, eating food that tastes bad, you shouldn't think, this airline is cheap and cruel. You should think, my entire sensory system is shut down, and I'm physically incapable of tasting this properly right now. It's not the food's fault. It's not even really the airline's fault. Well, okay, it's kind of the airline's fault, because they could add humidity systems, but that costs money. But the real culprit? It's 35,000 feet of altitude and the laws of physics. Your body is an incredible machine. It tastes, it smells, it experiences flavor, but it evolved to do those things at sea level, on solid ground, in a relaxed state. Stick it in a pressurized metal tube, dry it out, stress it out, and what do you expect? The surprising part isn't that airplane food tastes bad. The surprising part is that it tastes anything at all. If this made you rethink your last flight, if you never realized your taste buds were the problem, not the airline, hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden stories about why everyday experiences are so weird. Because the world is full of things you do constantly that you don't actually understand. And once you understand them, they're kind of fascinating. Thanks for watching. Now go get some tomato juice and buckle up.